When I work with couples, most of the time, the most common complaint that I hear is we just can't communicate. We have such a problem with communication. And if I were to ask each of them individually, what does that mean? What does that look like? What I'll often hear is, I don't feel heard. He will say, I don't feel heard. She will say, I don't feel heard. And in my own relationship, that was a very common theme for both of us. No, I don't feel heard, but I don't feel heard. Now, we can't control whether the other person feels heard or not, but we can try to help foster an environment that invites them to be able to share in a way that may allow them to feel heard, which can impact the entire relationship. So today I want to share with you 3 S's of communication. And I'll tell you that what one of them is not. One of them is not solve. This will not solve all of your problems, but I do think that if you begin to implement these 3 S's of communication, you may see a tremendous difference in your relationship. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to kind of throw in a 4th one in there as a little bonus, okay? So my name is Kitty Robinson. I have a master's in marriage and family therapy. I'm a pre-licensed therapist, and I love working with couples to help them to be able to achieve relational wellness, because I know that when we sign up for marriage, when we say I do, what we're really longing for is connection. We're wanting good communication, and oftentimes we find ourselves really missing that. And I guess to even begin to talk about communication, we have to understand what that is. Communication is so much more than just the words we say. Communication is the eye contact you're making. It's that sense of engagement. It's the tone of voice, the volume of voice, the speech or the speed at which you're speaking. It's your body language. It's your proximity to the other person. Imagine if someone's right up in your face. They may be saying some nice things, but the communication piece is it's going to be way off, right? It can also involve kind of the method that we use to communicate. Where are we communicating over text? Are we trying to communicate heart issues through text, through messages? Or are we doing this face to face? Or are we at least trying to hear each other's voice? So there's a lot of aspects of communication. And this video today will not cover all of those things, but like I said, we'll cover those 3 S's. So let's jump right in. The first one is short. So when you communicate with your spouse about heart things, try to keep your message short, okay? What happens so often is that we give so many details when we're trying to share something with our spouse that the heart of our message is really lost. So in order to be able to share your heart and for your spouse to even have a chance to hear your heart, you have to know what the heart of your message is. So I encourage you first to try to determine what is the heart of your message. So if the situation is that in the past what you would say to your spouse is, every time you're on your phone and I try to talk to you, you ignore me. You love that phone more than you love me. That's what I think. I think you are married to your phone. What is it in your phone that's so interesting, that's so much better than me? Maybe you say things like, you know what, you tell our kids all the time to get off their phones, but you do the same thing. And what's happening is we just come in with all these details. It might even be like, yeah, like last Wednesday I was trying to talk to you and then you got on your phone and then right at the same time somebody came to the door and then I went to get to the door and we got that package in the mail and then you see in all of this we're sharing all these details. And what's missed in that? What is the heart of that message? Think about it. The heart is, maybe I want to connect with you. I want to be able to talk to you and connect with you. But when I do that, and you're on your phone, I feel ignored. I feel disconnected. You hear the difference there? There's such little detail that you framed that message up in such a way that it's hard to miss. So even though you can't control whether or not your spouse hears you, you can set it up in a way that it really increases the chance of your spouse hearing the message. And you can do that by giving them short bites of information. Keep it simple, keep it short. And in order to do that, you've got to identify your message and then share it with them. All right, and the second S, so we've got short, the second S is soft. Like I talked about before, the tone of your voice really matters. So try to keep your voice soft. and try to use a gentle voice. I know that can be challenging. Sometimes we don't even realize it when we're getting loud and someone can be sitting across the table from us going, "Why are you yelling at me?" And you're like, "I'm not yelling." But you've got to be able to have some self-control there to control your tone. Keep it soft. Keep it gentle. What that means is that before you go into a conversation with your spouse to share a matter of the heart, you're going to have dealt with your heart. So you're going to have identified that message like we talked about, and make sure that you're coming to them in a place where you're regulated, where you aren't escalated, and where you're going to come to them with this loud voice and these sharp tones. And so make sure before you go to your spouse, which it can be so challenging to do this, but before you go to your spouse, take some time, make sure you're regulated, you've identified your message, and you're coming to them with a gentle spirit so that your message can be soft. All right, so we're keeping our message short, we're keeping it soft, and then this one I think is so important, or maybe it's just my favorite, is we want to keep it slow. It's really important to remember that when it comes to relationships and really most of life, slow is safe. Okay, think about it. If you had somebody doing heart surgery on you and they're like, "Look, this normally takes 4 hours, but my goal is to just knock this out in an hour and a half." That's not going to feel very safe for you. You're like, "Wait a minute, what are you going to miss by going so fast?" Right? Or if you think about driving down the road, and if you get in an accident going 15 miles an hour, you're going slow, that's probably just going to leave a little dent. That's not going to be too hard to mend. But if you're going 70 miles an hour and you have an impact with another vehicle, there could be lives lost in that. And the same thing happens with communication. When we take things slow, so we're not just quickly throwing a response back, we're just back and forth, if we do take it slow and we do bump into each other, the damage is going to be easier to mend. So we're not just heaping more pain on top of more pain. So try to keep those messages slow. So we're keeping it short, we're keeping it soft, we're keeping that message, we're keeping the pace of things slow. And when you do that, what you do is you're framing it up in a way that's saying, and that is communicating without words, of that what I have to share with you is important, that it's sensitive, and that it matters, because you're presenting it to your partner with so much care. And that makes a difference in how that message is received. Also, a lot of times when someone else is not hearing you, it's because they are feeling threatened. And so by nature, this isn't them, it's not a them thing, it's by nature, we all do it. If we're feeling threatened, we are wired to put up defenses. So they're going to be defensive. And so instead of hearing you, they're thinking about all the ways they're being attacked and how can they defend themselves. And so by bringing your message in a way that aligns with those 3 S's, you're going to lower the likelihood that they're going to feel the need to lawyer up against you, and that you guys can have a connecting conversation. That's been the most amazing thing for my husband and I, as we've implemented just these 3 things, is that when we have difficult conversations, we now leave them feeling so connected instead of feeling attacked and disconnected. And most importantly, we don't feel like we haven't been heard. And we've just done that by keeping our details, keeping it short, and keeping it soft, and keeping it slow. Now, one other tip is the way that we keep it slow is by using reflective listening. If you've ever done any marriage therapy, you've probably learned how to do some reflective listening. And all that really is making sure that you're stating back to the other person what you're hearing them say. And so even if it's your spouse that's coming to you and they're not being short with their details, they're not being soft, they're not being slow, if you have the self-control, enough self-control, you could actually slow things down and soften things by just reflecting back what they're saying. Whether you're the speaker or the listener, you actually can impact the communication between you and your spouse just by you being the only one to make a change. All right, we're to the end here. I've got that bonus tip, that number 4, and that's the word safe. That's the 4th S here. When you interact with your spouse in a way where you're keeping your tone soft, whether you're the speaker or the listener, where you're keeping that information simple, you're not just coming at them with just word vomit on them, but you're keeping it simple and you're slowing things down, it's going to begin to feel safe. And partners who feel safe with one another have true, deep intimacy, and they enjoy communicating with one another, so they're drawn more to it. They enjoy healthy communication with one another, and they typically are going to feel so connected. That's what we signed up for, right? When we said I do, we wanted that connection, and these are some ways that you can get there. Now, if you find that your relationship needs a little bit of help with this, I do couples coaching. If you find that your relationship needs a lot of help with this, maybe the relationship hasn't felt safe in a long time, emotionally safe, please reach out to me. I provide therapy through Arena Counseling in Forsyth, Georgia. I can do it through telehealth all around the state. Couples coaching I can do anywhere in the United States. So I hope this helps, and if you have any more to add, please share it in the comments below. Bye-bye.